The history of the Mongol Empire, rise, expansion, and legacy. The Mongol Empire, established in the 13th century, stands as one of the most formidable empires in world history. At its height, it was the largest contiguous land empire ever, stretching from Eastern Europe to the Sea of Japan, and from Siberia to the Indian subcontinent, the Iranian Plateau, and the Middle East. Founded by Genghis Khan in 1206, the Mongol Empire reshaped the political, cultural, and economic landscapes of the medieval world. This essay explores the origins of the Mongol Empire, its expansion under Genghis Khan and his successors, the methods of administration and governance employed by the Mongols, and the lasting impact of their rule on global history. Origins of the Mongol Empire. The Mongols were originally a collection of nomadic tribes inhabiting the Central Asian steppes. Life on the steppes was harsh, and survival required resilience, mobility, and martial prowess. Prior to unification, the Mongol tribes were often engaged in internal conflicts and rivalries. The turning point came with the rise of a charismatic and visionary leader named Temujin. Born around 1162, Temujin came from a relatively modest background. His father, a minor tribal chief, was poisoned by rivals, leaving Temujin and his family in poverty. Over time, Temujin demonstrated exceptional leadership, military skill, and capacity for forging alliances. He managed to unite the fragmented Mongol tribes through a combination of diplomacy, strategic marriages, and brute force. In 1206, at a grand assembly known as a Kurultai, Temujin was proclaimed Genghis Khan, meaning universal ruler. This marked the official founding of the Mongol Empire, the expansion under Genghis Khan. Once united, Genghis Khan directed the energies of his newly unified nation outward. His ambition was not only to conquer, but to establish a new world order under Mongol rule. The Mongol military, known for its discipline, mobility, and innovative strategies, was instrumental in this endeavor. One of Genghis Khan's first major campaigns was against the Xia and Jin dynasties in northern China. The Mongols utilized siege weapons and psychological warfare to great effect, eventually toppling these dynasties and expanding into the rich and populous regions of northern China. He then turned westward, targeting the Khwarezmian Empire, which had insulted Genghis by killing his trade envoys. The Mongols retaliated with devastating efficiency, annihilating cities, and leaving a path of destruction from Central Asia to Persia. Genghis Khan's conquests were marked by their brutality. Cities that resisted were often razed and populations slaughtered. However, Genghis also showed a pragmatic side. He spared those who surrendered quickly, incorporated skilled workers into his empire, and promoted meritocracy over aristocracy. By the time of his death in 1227, Genghis Khan had laid the foundation for an empire that would continue to expand for decades under his successors. Expansion under successors. After Genghis Khan's death, his empire was divided among his sons and grandsons, but remained unified under the leadership of the Great Khan. His third son, Ogedei Khan, succeeded him and continued the campaign of conquest. Under Ogedei, the Mongols advanced further into Eastern Europe, defeating the Hungarians and Poles, and reached as far west as modern-day Germany. At the same time, other Mongol generals, such as Subutai and Bata Khan, Genghis's grandson, led invasions into Russia, laying the groundwork for Mongol domination of the Russian principalities, which lasted for over 2 centuries. In the east, the Mongols completed the conquest of the Song dynasty in China under the leadership of Kublai Khan, another grandson of Genghis. Kublai established the Yuan dynasty in 1271 and became the first non-Han emperor to rule all of China. His court became a cosmopolitan center of trade, learning, and culture, attracting figures like Marco Polo. Other branches of the empire established independent khanates: the Ilkhanate in Persia, the Chagatai Khanate in Central Asia, the Golden Horde in Russia, and the Yuan dynasty in China. Although these khanates operated semi-independently, they shared a common Mongol heritage and maintained diplomatic and trade relations with each other. Administration and governance. Despite their reputation for destruction, the Mongols were also astute administrators. Genghis Khan implemented a legal code known as a yasa, which provided laws and regulations that governed everything from military discipline to theft and marriage. He promoted individuals based on merit and loyalty rather than noble birth, a radical shift from the norms of the time. The Mongols also facilitated trade and communication across their vast empire. They established the Yam system, a relay network of horse stations and rest stops, which enabled rapid communication across thousands of miles. This system greatly benefited merchants and travelers, contributing to the flourishing of the Silk Road during Mongol rule. Religious tolerance was another hallmark of Mongol governance. The empire encompassed a multitude of cultures and faiths, including Islam, Buddhism, Christianity, and Confucianism. The Mongols generally allowed religious freedom, understanding that enforcing a state religion could destabilize their rule over such a diverse population. Cultural and economic impact. The Mongol Empire had a profound effect on global history. Perhaps the most significant impact was the creation of the Pax Mongolica, or Mongol Peace. This was a period during which trade, technology, and cultural exchange flourished across Eurasia under the stability provided by Mongol rule. The Mongols connected East and West as never before. Chinese inventions such as gunpowder, paper, and printing technology spread westward, while Western ideas and goods reached China. The movement of people also increased dramatically, with artisans, scholars, and traders traversing the empire freely. This global interconnectedness laid the groundwork for the later age of exploration and the development of early modern globalization. However, this increased connectivity also had darker consequences. The most infamous was the spread of the Black Death. Historians believe the plague traveled along trade routes facilitated by the Mongols, reaching Europe in the mid-14th century and killing millions. Decline and fall. Despite its unprecedented success, the Mongol Empire was not destined to last in its unified form. By the late 13th and early 14th centuries, internal strife, succession disputes, and cultural assimilation began to erode the empire's cohesion. The four main khanates began to diverge politically and culturally. The Yuan dynasty in China struggled with internal rebellions and was eventually overthrown by the Ming dynasty in 1368. The Ilkhanate in Persia disintegrated after a series of weak rulers. The Golden Horde faced resistance from rising Russian states like Moscow, and the Chagatai Khanate fractured into eastern and western regions. By the end of the 14th century, the once unified Mongol Empire had effectively ceased to exist. However, its legacy endured in various forms. The Mongol period influenced military tactics, trade routes, political structures, and cultural exchange for centuries to come. Legacy of the Mongol Empire. The legacy of the Mongol Empire is complex. On one hand, it is remembered for its ruthless military campaigns, the destruction of cities, and the massive loss of life. On the other, it fostered a unique period of international cooperation, trade, and cultural diffusion. Modern scholars often reevaluate the Mongols not merely as conquerors, but as agents of change. They disrupted the feudal order of medieval Eurasia, contributed to the rise of powerful centralized states, and helped create a more interconnected world. The Mongol emphasis on meritocracy, legal codification, and religious tolerance also provides a striking contrast to the often rigid and hierarchical societies they conquered. Though their empire was short-lived in the grand scope of history, the Mongols' influence remains indelible. Conclusion. The history of the Mongol Empire is a testament to the extraordinary capacity of human societies to organize, adapt, and influence the world. From the wind-swept steppes of Mongolia, a band of nomadic tribes under the leadership of Genghis Khan rose to build an empire that changed the course of history. Through conquest, diplomacy, and governance, the Mongols created a global network that reshaped economies, cultures, and civilizations. Their story is one of paradoxes, of violence and peace, destruction and development, fragmentation and unity. As history continues to assess the impact of the Mongol Empire, one truth remains clear. It was one of the most significant forces in the medieval world, and its legacy continues to echo in the modern age. Thank you so much for watching this video.